Hi guys. Well, welcome back to ancient Rome, the reading of I Survived Pompeii. So let me get comfortable. You get comfortable too. So let's begin. Okay, let's see here. Chapter 5. Remember when we left off, Marcus found Tata. He saw the men going through the streets. Oh, and it has a really good illustration, so I wanted to share that with you. Look at this. Can you guys see that? I'll leave it up for a while so you can really kind of take that in. It's a good visual. I like visuals, you know. I'm all about that. Okay, let's look here. Let's see what happened. Tata froze and looked up, searching the crowd frantically with his eyes. The guard screamed at him, "Move! Move now!" At last, Tata spotted Marcus. He dropped his shield and ran toward him. Seconds later, Marcus was in Tata's arms. "It's not possible," Tata whispered, hugging him so tightly that Marcus could hardly breathe. "How did you get here?" "Festus brought me here after you were sold," Marcus said, barely able to choke out the words. "But Tata, how? Why?" Not even in Marcus's nightmares could he have imagined anything worse than this. Festus had sold Tata to the gladiators. Marcus buried his face in Tata's chest, breathing in his familiar smell. Every day, every hour, Marcus had wished for this moment. And for a few seconds, he let himself believe that they were really back together, that his prayers had been answered. But of course, the opposite was true. Two guards grabbed Tata's arms, tearing him away from Marcus. And then the Lanista appeared. "What's this?" he spat. "How dare you stop my parade?" The musicians were silent, the jugglers and acrobats still. All eyes were on Tata and Marcus. "Have mercy," Tata said, struggling in the guard's grip. "This is my son." The Lanista stared at Marcus, his cold, fishy eyes looking him up and down. "Maybe you'd like to join your father in the arena," he sneered. Then the Lanista looked to the crowd. "What do you think?" he bellowed. "A father and son against Cyclops?" A few people shouted, "Bring him!" "Yes! What a show it will be!" "Or maybe you should fight each other," the Lanista said, rubbing his hands together. "Run from here, Marcus," his father cried. "Go!" But instead, Marcus grabbed the Lanista's arm. "I beg you, please let my father go." The man ripped his arm away and snatched a spear from one of the guards. He pointed the blade at Marcus's eye. "Ever wondered how Cyclops lost his eye?" he taunted, lunging at Marcus. "No!" Tata shouted. Marcus staggered back. He lost his balance and fell, smacking his head on the stone curb. His head exploded in pain. He struggled to sit up, and through the blur he could see Tata being dragged away, the guards jabbing him with spears. The Lanista's wicked cackle rose up over the merry music. As Tata disappeared, all of the strength drained from Marcus's body. These past 2 months, he had always had the hope that he and Tata would be together again. And that speck of hope, a tiny glowing ember, had been everything to him. But now, Marcus lay back in the gutter, closing his eyes. How would he go on? In his mind, he pictured Festus's face, heard his barking orders. He imagined the slaves who'd been working in the villa for years. Their bodies were crooked and scarred, their eyes dead like statues. And then Marcus thought of the heroes from his favorite stories. They had desperate moments too. Odysseus, who was lost at sea for 10 years on his way home from Troy. Hercules, pinned down by a bloodthirsty lion. Those courageous men knew terror and hopelessness as Marcus did now. But their stories hadn't ended with fear and defeat. Marcus's eyes snapped open. He sat up and struggled to his feet. He understood. He would try to save Tata, even if it killed him. Marcus went on to the fountain and splashed cool water on his face. He didn't have much time. Soon the parade would reach the gladiator barracks and Tata would be locked away. The barracks was like a prison with high stone walls and a towering iron gate. Marcus had heard that the fighters were locked in dark cells, their arms and legs shackled until it was time to fight. Once Tata was in the barracks, it would be too late. Somehow Marcus had to steal Tata away from the parade. But how? He searched his mind for ideas. Again, he thought of Odysseus. Odysseus wasn't the strongest man. He was cunning. There had come a low point in the Trojan Wars when the Greek armies had Troy surrounded, but they could not break through the massive wall that encircled the city. Thousands of Trojan archers guarded the wall, ready to fire down on anyone who came close. Some Greek generals were ready to give up on invading the city of Troy. Not Odysseus. He came up with the ingenious idea of building a giant wooden horse with a hollow belly. He and his best Greek soldiers hid inside the horse. They made the Trojan believe the wooden animal was an offering from the gods and tricked them into bringing it inside their walls. And then, attack! In the dead of night, Odysseus and the hidden soldiers snuck out of the horse and opened the gates. The Greek soldiers smashed the Trojan army and conquered the city. Marcus searched around. All he saw was the laundry bag lying where he had dropped it. But wait. The idea flashed into Marcus's mind, and before he could talk himself out of it, he had ripped the sack open and was rummaging through Festus's clothes. Wonder what he's going to do. What do you think he might do? Let's see. He grabbed a toga, a robe woven from the finest wool and edged with purple ribbon. Marcus couldn't build himself a wooden horse, but he could hide in Festus's toga, disguise himself as an important Roman citizen. A patrician. Marcus threw it around himself, covering his old tunic. The toga stank like rotten food, old wine, and Festus's sweat. Ugh. Marcus fought back his nausea as he wrapped the endless stretch of fabric around his body, finally draping the loose end over his shoulder. He straightened his shoulders. The toga dragged on the ground a bit, but it would do. Marcus spat into his hands and flattened his hair to his forehead, the style of a rich son of Rome. Now he just needed a weapon, something to scare the guards so he and Tata could escape. Once again, the answer was right in front of him on the sidewalk. The snake charmer. Somehow the old man was still dozing with the basket at his feet. Marcus crept up, kneeled, and snatched the basket. The old man was awake in a flash, hollering after him, "Stop him! Stop that thief!" Marcus darted through the crowd, one hand firmly on the lid of the basket. He was terrified that the lid would fly off, that the cobra would spring out and sink its fangs into Marcus's neck. He could feel the snake hissing ferociously, banging its body against the sides of the flimsy basket. Marcus's heart pounded, his legs wobbled, his mind swirled with fear. But somehow, he kept himself moving until he caught up with the parade. The music had stopped and the Lanista was unlocking the gates of the gladiator barracks. Marcus was almost out of time, and he would have just one chance. Well, that's the end of chapter 6. So, yeah, I can't wait either. Let's read another one. Okay. Marcus stepped slowly, clutching the basket. At first, he didn't notice how many people moved aside for him, how slaves bowed their heads. And then he understood. His disguise was working. Nobody guessed he was just a slave. None of the guards tried to stop him as he approached the front of the parade. Marcus saw the Lanista, his chest puffed out. And there was Tata. The big guard was jabbing him in the back with a spear, laughing at Tata's pain. Marcus's blood boiled as he walked toward the Lanista. Closer and closer, closer. When he was just about a few feet away, the Lanista looked at him. Their eyes met, and Marcus saw the flash of recognition in the man's eyes. "Stop him!" the Lanista bellowed, pointing to Marcus. But it was too late. Marcus tore the lid off the basket. He lunged forward, and with all the strength he could gather, he thrust the open basket toward the Lanista, propelling the snake into the air. The Cobra soared, a twisting, hissing arrow. The snake struck the Lanista in the chest and then landed on the ground, coiling itself tightly. The Lanista's womanly scream rose up over the crowd, and everything went still and silent. Oh, this is a great picture. People stared, hypnotized by the sight of the Cobra. The creature lifted its head, rising, 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 until it was as tall as a child. It flared its great hood and then opened its mouth to expose its silky pink teeth and killer fangs. Hiss! And then, as if Marcus himself had pulled a lever, the earth started to rumble, just as it had earlier. Stones crumbled and fell from the wall surrounding the barracks. A roar echoed from deep under the ground. "It's a curse from the gods!" someone shouted. The crowd erupted in panic. The Lanista turned and ran, and his guards followed. Gladiators bolted. The snake slithered away. The horses screeched and reared up, tossing their riders to the ground. Marcus ran to Tata, who stared at him in confusion. "Tata," Marcus said, tossing off his toga. "It's me." Amazement lit up Tata's eyes, but there was not a second to spare. Tata grabbed Marcus's hand as though he would never let it go. "This way," Tata said, pulling Marcus to one of the riderless horses. It was a ragged white mare that looked 100 years old. One of her ears looked as if it had been chewed off. Tata grabbed the reins and soothed the horse while Marcus climbed on. Tata climbed on in front of Marcus. "Hold on tight," he said, snapping the reins. Marcus doubted the old horse could even run, but she shot forward and was soon speeding down the street. Marcus clung to Tata, his heart pounding in terror. He expected spears to fly after them, a dagger to stab him in the middle of his back. But the horse ran faster and faster. It seemed she was as eager to escape her life in Pompeii as they were. They moved so fast that Marcus felt as though they were flying. Closing his eyes, he imagined that this old white mare was the winged horse Pegasus, and that they were soaring through the clouds. When he opened his eyes, he was shocked to see they had passed through the city gates. Tata raised his fist to the heavens and let out a Latin cheer. Exi! They had made it. Or have they? Because guess what? There's more to the book. So something has to have happened. So you'll have to just come back. I gave you a bonus chapter today. We're ready to start chapter 8. So come back.